This week we've been learning about changes in the environment, and today we're going to learn about one of the most important changes to Louisiana's environment, and that's coastal erosion. We're going to learn what causes it and how can we stop it. Coastal erosion is very harmful to Louisiana, and you're going to learn why. Now, before we learn how the land changes, we need to review what the land is like to begin with. So we're going to look at the geography of Louisiana. Remember that we have hills and forests in the north, and swamps and low ground to the south, and that it's colder in the north than it is in the south. I don't have as many differences from east to west. Most of my differences in Louisiana are between north and south. Now you're going to use this information to fill out part one, your geography review. You're asked, what is one difference between North and South Louisiana? Use this information to fill in the blanks and complete this paragraph. One difference between North Louisiana and South Louisiana is that North Louisiana is blank and South Louisiana is blank. Fill in those blanks on your worksheet to complete part one. Now, let's talk about coastal erosion. Coastal erosion is the loss of land on the coast. Coastal erosion is threatening many areas of Louisiana. So here we have a normal beach. We see that water and wind beat against the beach and wear it down, and that land is eventually lost. It washes away into the ocean. And let's look at how this is impacting Louisiana. The red on my map shows wetlands lost. These are all the swamp areas that are basically being washed away into the ocean. This is land that we used to have in Louisiana that's now ocean. It's washed away. And that's coastal erosion, the washing away of the land into the water. Now you can see here in New Orleans, our land is being washed away. And if we don't do something about it, New Orleans could be washed into the ocean in the next 30, 40, maybe 50 years. A normal river should flow from the mountains through the land into the ocean. Now remember, rivers sometimes flood, and when they do that, they water plants and they drop off soil to make the land stronger. Floods actually help the land. Well, remember in Louisiana, we've built many levees to stop flooding, and that means that the river does not bring soil onto the land to make it strong. The land becomes weak and it washes away. So what is causing coastal erosion? We talked about levees, but we're going to talk about other causes of coastal erosion because we need to know how coastal erosion happens so we can learn how to stop it. Now, here's a picture of Miami. It's a beautiful city, but it's also suffering from coastal erosion. So look at something that happens when the water rises in Miami. It covers the streets. It causes all kinds of damage. We don't want this happening in New Orleans. So we're going to try and figure out how to save our coastline so it can protect us from flooding. You have a chart that looks like this on your worksheet. There's lots of different causes to coastal erosion, and we're going to fill in all of these. We're going to think of it like a mystery. There's different suspects. Suspect 1, Suspect 2, Suspect 3, and Suspect 4. We're going to look at all of these and figure out what is causing coastal erosion in Louisiana. Now, our first suspect is flooding and storms. So storms can cause flooding, which will cause the water to cover the land and create coastal erosion. We said that floods are sometimes good, but when a hurricane comes, it causes a massive flood, and that can pound the land and make it weaker. And that can cause coastal erosion. Fill in flooding and storms as the first suspect in your chart. Now let's look at our second suspect. The second suspect is animals. Some animals, such as the nutria, shown here, eat roots that help hold the soil together, putting these areas at risk for coastal erosion. So these animals eat the roots. The roots of these plants used to hold the land together and make it strong. Now, when waves and storms hit that land, it will become weak and wash away into the ocean. Go ahead and fill in the second suspect into your chart. Now, our third suspect, waves and rising sea levels. Our sea levels are rising, and waves are crashing higher and higher up onto the land, and this is breaking apart the land and causing erosion. Now, this is a picture of a man who lives on an island. He's in big trouble because when those sea levels rise, that could completely cover up his island, and he won't have any land to live on or farm on for food. Fill in the third suspect into your chart. Now, the fourth suspect is oil drilling. We talked about oil drilling. People drill for oil so that they have oil for energy. But drilling for oil and building canals to move that oil can cause coastal erosion. Those canals cut lines through the land, and they're almost like cracks that make the land weak. And once you drill and cut into the land, it becomes weak, and coastal erosion becomes an even bigger problem. That weak land is washed away into the ocean. Now, oil drilling is something that humans do to the land. That's something that we could stop, right? If it's causing problems, why do we do it? Well, oil is used for energy. So, why might some people support drilling for oil even though it hurts the environment? Well, it's used for energy, so people need that energy to power their cars and their homes. So, even though there are problems with oil drilling, there are also benefits from oil drilling. So, we keep doing it because even though it's bad, it can also be good. Now, levees are another thing that we talked about, and these are made by humans. We know that human changes to the environment can cause coastal erosion, but also think about storms. Storms are totally natural. They come from nature, and they also cause coastal erosion. So there are natural and human changes to the environment that cause coastal erosion. And you know what? When we look at our chart, it's not actually any one suspect that causes coastal erosion. It's all of these things working together. So the drilling for oil and the animals both make the land weak. That means that when storms come, more coastal erosion occurs because the land is not strong and it's washed away into the ocean. So it's actually a conspiracy. All of our suspects are working together. Now, for your assignment on the back of your worksheet, you're going to write a letter. We talked about what causes coastal erosion. Now we need to figure out how we're going to stop it. Your town is in danger, and you need to write a letter to the next town asking for help. Your letter should say, and here's your letter. I left some blanks in it that you're going to need to fill in. Dear neighbor, my town is in danger. Coastal erosion is causing the blank to cover the blank. Now, what's happening in coastal erosion? Is the land covering the water, or is the water covering the land? Fill in the blanks here to tell what is happening in coastal erosion. It also says coastal erosion is caused by blank and blank. So for this part, you're going to look back to your chart and look at the causes of coastal erosion. And you're going to pick two that you think are very important, and you're going to fill them into these two blanks. So first, coastal erosion is causing the water to cover the land. And then you're going to list two causes of coastal erosion. Now make sure to sign your letter sincerely and sign your name. And then you'll be ready to start your exit ticket. All right, good luck. I'll see you next time.